In this video, we have got a 100 kill game, exactly, on Rotterdam Conquest, with the Swiss K bolt-action sniper rifle, which of course, as you can see, is unique for having that pyramid or triangular-like reticle inside the scope. As always, stick around in this video. In just a moment's time, I'm going to flash up the specializations of my choice on screen, give an in-depth explanation into which ones I choose and why, go into the pros and cons of this gun in general, and then, of course, how to play on Rotterdam, and what is happening in this game. So, getting straight into the specializations, which are going to pop up on screen now, we can see that I've got 3 on the right and 1 on the left, with quick aim, slings and swivels, machine bolt, and detachable magazines. The first specialization option, which looks at reducing muzzle flash versus having a quicker aim-in speed of 33%. It's a very, very easy one. I don't need to give much explanation to this. Reduced muzzle flash on a gun where you've only got 7 rounds, you're hardly firing it, it's a slow fire rate. You know, it's very low risk of anybody seeing the muzzle flash in general. If anything, you should be more worried about the scope glint, which is coming off of the sniper scopes, which is way more easy to see and more visible than just seeing, you know, a short, quick flash from a very slow fire rate weapon. This is a specialization which would be best served on an MMG. And therefore, of course, simply just going for the quicker aiming speed is the best way to go on this one. Now, the second and third specialization choice is actually influenced by a bug, error, glitch, whatever you want to call it, with this weapon. Now, if you were to go down the left side with your second and third choice, you would see that you get to be able to increase the magnification and zoom of the scope from 3 times to 6 times. Why they put this in a specialization and not just have it as another different 6 times scope option to be able to equip to the weapon like every other sniper in the game, I do not know. But the issue is that the 6 times magnification zoom specializations does not work. Half the time you play with it in the game, you'll aim in, it'll be a 6 times, and then after a minute or two, it'll suddenly change to a 3 times, as if you haven't even got the specialization equipped. And it's just very intermittent. If you're used to playing with the 3 times, you're going to run and get yourself into positions where it's good and at a zoom level where it'll be effective to use a 3 times. And if you're using the 6 times specialization, you don't want to be at a close to medium range, which you would think you need for a 3 times scope, and then you aim in and suddenly it's a 6 times. It's really massively zoomed in and it affects you being able to get a kill and causes you deaths. So the left side, for that reason, isn't really an option. A further issue with the gun, which comes with both reticles, is I'm pretty certain that where the bullets hit in terms of that actual physical point at the top of the triangle in the scope, the bullets do not land where you aim. They're very slightly off center. So you will get quite a lot of shots where you're aiming on the head or right on the edge of the head. You're pretty certain you're on target, but you won't hit it, and that's just an issue and a problem and a bug which is never going to be fixed on this gun. So overall, with regards to that specialization, I am a fan of a higher magnification zoom scope. I prefer the 6 times scopes way more than the 3 times scopes, but unfortunately we can't use that with this gun. The third specialization option, which is on the left of the gun, is simply just going to give you a bipod, which isn't too useful most of the time. If you want to use a bipod and a sniper, you're going to have to stand still and of course be an easy target to get sniped by other enemies. So unfortunately, we do have to go with the 2 specializations on the right for the second and third specialization options, which give you slings and swivels, so quicker changing to your sidearm, which is, by the by, doesn't make too much of a difference. And the third specialization choice on the right effectively allows you to cycle a bolt quicker, so basically get a faster rounds per minute to be able to put through the weapon. Now, if you have seen my K31 videos, you'll know that I'm not fussed at all with having a faster fire rate or even having a fast fire rate in general on these bolt action weapons. I find having a slower fire rate allows you to pace yourself in between the reloading of the bolt, which might take slightly a bit longer. It gives you that extra little bit of time to scan the map in front of you when you pull the scope down to reload the bolt, to be able to identify that next target and then of course go for that next shot. If you do have a fast fire rate, which you can probably compare if you have used the Lee Enfield, so the first sniper you unlock, which has 10 rounds and has the fastest fire rate out of any other bolt action weapons, you will know that you probably find your accuracy is quite low with that, missing quite a lot of shots, not only because it has a low bullet velocity, as well as probably a poor 6x scope, but the fast fire rate, it makes you feel like you could just go for 2 quick body shots most of the time, rather than being more of a marksman with better accuracy, and of course therefore just going for headshots, and therefore getting more kills per each bullet you put through the gun. So effectively, the second and third specialization choices overall with this gun are a bit of a tricky challenge, because the left side definitely would be my choice. However, we can only go with the right side. Of course, the benefit there is you do get to put more bullets through the gun quicker, which you can if we move on very quickly before we look at the fourth specialization choice. We talk about the fact that you can switch with this weapon, which is very unique, to an iron sight on the gun. Although it is not very clear, it can be very useful if you do switch to the iron sight with the faster fire rate specialization to be able to get 2 quick body shots on someone who's at close range and pushing you therefore at close range. The fourth and final specialization choice, or options, which you need to choose from on the left, is going to be detachable mags, which is going to increase your ammo count from 5 to 7 versus a bayonet on the right. As you've seen, I have gone for the detachable mags on the left. I do find that over the course of an entire game, having those 2 extra rounds, as well as pretty much a quicker reload, you're not reloading individual bullets or 5-round stripper clips. Just having that extra ammo count, allows you to get that extra kill or 2 if you do need to go for body shots, or just, see more enemies throughout the game in general. It can be very frustrating when you're using snipers and you're reloading quite a lot, very slow with individual bullets, and you're seeing targets in the distance, and you are going to see a lot of targets throughout the course of a game when you're playing with snipers, because of course everything you pretty much see in the distance you have a very good chance to shoot at and get a kill. It's not like using an SMG or a ZK, for example, on Rotterdam, and I see someone all the way at the other end of the bridge. I'm not even gonna even look at them, acknowledge them, shoot at them, because you just know it's not possible to get the kill. So detachable mags just allows you, to avoid that frustration of when you see people. Is less likely, or the chance of you're going to be reloading or out of ammo and not be able to try and get that kill. Which of course is in contrast to having a faster fire rate, which I'm not so much a big of a fan of on the bolt action snipers. The bayonet, again, can be very useful on snipers because it gives you an aggressive close range option if you do get pushed by, close range, aggressive SMGs or even shotguns. It gives you a way to kill them instantly before they can take you out. Now, the bayonet, you're probably only going to use it 2-3 times a game if you use the right positions and you have good awareness. You're not going to let enemies get in close range of you very often. And if you've used the bayonet many times, like I have, it's very inconsistent in that you'll literally glide straight through or around the side of an enemy when you're trying to bayonet into them. So it's very inconsistent. If it was consistent, it might be a stronger contender as your fourth choice of specialization on this gun. But otherwise, I would say the bayonet is, pretty useless. So detachable mags definitely is the way to go on the fourth specialization option for me. Moving on to the pros and cons of the Swiss K, I probably have already touched on some of them while talking about the specializations, but breaking it down into 2 halves and starting with the pros. Of course, the rate of fire in terms of being able to cycle a bolt, thanks to having to be forced to use that specialization option on the right, is nice and fast for those of you who do like that. Another pro is going to be, you can see the scope is not on top of the gun, it's mounted on the side of the gun. As a result, if you do not have the detachable mags option as that last specialization choice and you go instead going with the bayonet, then you are going to be able to instantly reload 5-round stripper clips if you do, of course, empty the entire magazine or clip. The ammo count, if you do go with the detachable magazines, is going to be 7, which again is going to be more than the average amount which you're going to get with the Gewehr M95, the Arasaka, the K31, or even the 6 which you get with the Krag. And lastly, in terms of the pros, of course, you can switch to an iron sight, which is very unique. You can't do it with any other gun in Battlefield 5, and it offers you, a get out of jail card or a way to go for easy body shots on those close range targets which are, going aggressively at you in close range. And it's possibly a good alternative to use instead of going for the bayonet as that fourth specialization choice. In contrast, when we look at the cons of the weapon now, of course the first major one is going to be the fact that the sight is slightly off center, so you might think you're on target at times, but you're never going to be able to get, 100% accuracy as for where you're aiming. The next, con is going to be that the specialization for the 6x magnification zoom simply does not work. It's very inconsistent. It flickers on and off with different lives, or even during the course of being during a life. So again, it's not really a usable option. And I'd probably say the last big disadvantage is, although it is unique with a triangle or pyramid-like reticle inside the scope, that post at the top, it makes it very hard to aim, see enemies at distance, and it's not as accurate, I find, versus your normal cross or plus reticle which you get in scopes. Okay, so I think I'll give a final bit of commentary into what was happening at the end of this game. For me to be able to find and get the last bit of kills I needed to get to the 100 kill game. Throughout the course of this game, there was one player, I can't remember the name, who was pretty much stream sniping me, because this was a game from stream. And they pretty much spent the whole entire game standing down on the waterfront to the left of me here, basically just shooting at me on the bridge. And I managed to, so that player there, you'll probably see the video and know his name. I'll always say GG's, but he did spend the entire game pretty much going just for me. So I was on the bridge trying to focus and shoot at other enemies, and he spent the entire game going just for me, even if by the end of the game he only had like 10 or 15 kills after like a half an hour long game. That's how long he spent trying to go just for me. Hence why towards the end of the game here, trying to get these last 20 kills or so, where I do pop off quite a bit, if you want for want of a better term, on this last bit here, but jumping down, staying in between the bridge and B flag where they're spawning, sitting in this tunnelway here, so that sniper, as well as the other snipers and enemies that are down on the waterfront there, can't easily just shoot up at me on the bridge, and instead I can let them come off of B flag and run across the waterway towards D, and I can shoot them in the back by avoiding gunfights. So that's what's kind of carried me there towards the 100 kill game at the end, which was just, really good. You can go and check that out on the stream. I can probably put a link to that in the top comment below, so do check that out if you've watched this far. But otherwise, that's what I've done in these last few clips. Otherwise, as always, it's been mainly sticking to that center power position on the center of the bridge, which is by the two main staircases to get up onto the bridge, where you can see everything around that center of the bridge within equal distance, so it's just really easy to see everyone and just basically stand still the entire game and get lots of shots on target and opportunities to get kills, rather than running around like a headless chicken and only finding a couple of enemies. But that's been the video on the Swiss K. Please smash a like. I'll get another post out this week for what the next one is that you guys want. And I'll see you on the next one.
Objective Caesar has been lost.